all been given copies of the minutes from the August 12th board meeting. Okay. And there any comments, additions, deletions, or what have you from regarding those minutes that you have? Doesn't seem to be any. So that being the case, we'll go to approval of the abstract. Again, you have copy of the abstract.
We need
the bills that we have to pay. Any modifications?
Yes.
Okay. What?
We'll need a motion for a budget modification.
Do we need a motion?
Yes.
Is there? Okay. For the, on the abstract?
Yes, for modifications, yes.
Okay. Well, I wanted to know first if the trustees had anything to add before we do a modification. But if not, okay.
I do not see the abstract in my Dropbox.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for too.
It should
Yeah,
be
I
there
don't see
under
it.
abstract.
Minutes.
I can't minimize, sorry guys. But I was just out there tonight, just before the meeting, and it was there. Like agenda, abstract, they were like right there together.
I have agenda minutes, New York State DOT, library report, and sewer request. I don't
Yeah,
have
you
that.
have the
That's what I
agenda.
have.
Okay.
Well, okay, Linda.
Hold on one second, I'm double tasking.
While she's doing that, I'm just going to jump forward and lay the groundwork for the shared services agreement. This is something that we've done in the past, and we were notified by DOT that our current agreement with the DOT for shared services is expiring, and they sent a copy for us to renew and to sign, and that's what it's all about. Shared services, I think you know the concept where during a situation where we can do some work that they can't get at or vice versa, it's shared services up to, we've had agreements in the past. Typically, it works where the state does stuff we can't do, like under a big snowstorm or something. Rarely it would go the other way, but it could. We haven't had many instances. We signed one in 2013 when I was mayor. And I guess the one that was signed in 2016 is the one that's expiring. So we're looking for a 4-year extension on that thing. But have you found what you're looking for, Linda?
Yeah, it should be out on Dropbox, and it should have like all numbers.
I found it.
Yep.
Okay, yep.
Okay, now this is a short time for scanning them and so on, but if you see anything, just pipe up. But Linda, what modification do you want the
Just
motion
need
for?
a motion to make budget modifications.
Okay,
for all
okay.
and
Okay,
I make
let's
it for
just
the
have a
executives.
generic motion from somebody allowing the clerk treasurer to make budget
Yep.
modifications if
Bring it back in
necessary.
line.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Okay, I call the vote. Okay. Bob?
Yes.
Okay. Jason
Yes.
and Mike?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Okay, so that's done.
Okay.
I'll give a minute to if anybody who wants to scan that to see if there's anything they want to mention or ask or talk about. And you as well, Linda, if you see anything you want to point out. I've looked at the checks quickly on a basis, and I had a couple questions that were answered that had nothing to, that does with my curiosity, but I didn't see anything that that made me jump through hoops.
Anything in A that any of you have questions on? Our disability insurance came through, so you'll see that in a few places. You all good with A? F has the levy conduit inspection, and G has levy conduit inspection, which is where you're coming into most of your budget modification for the two of those.
Are we still, is Scott still waiting for the soft report on that?
I think he's still waiting for the video from that.
Right, that, okay, then.
The last I talked to him, he said-
Then it'll be all done.
Yep.
Okay, everybody good with F? Anything else worth mentioning on that, Linda?
Not an F. G again is the levy conduit inspection. That's what drove that one. Well, we had our last sewer bond for this year there also. That's what the last one is.
Okay, unless there's any further comments or questions, I'll look for a motion to pay the bills.
Move it.
Okay, a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, we
Oh, I
have a
beat you.
second. Okay, I'll call the vote. Bob,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
and Mike.
Yes.
Okay. Pay the bills. Okay, now getting back to the shared services agreement. Do you guys have copies of the issue there?
Yes.
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 Nate, have you looked at that or that shared services agreement? It's okay from your point of view?
I haven't seen, I think, the shared services agreement that the DOT sent specifically to Whitney Point, but I'm assuming it's the exact same agreement I've reviewed for other clients of mine because that's just how the DOT operates. And it's basically
It is.
Yeah.
And it's the same exact one that the board approved Ryan to sign in 2016 with the exception that they raised it from a minimum of $10,000 to $25,000.
Yeah, so I'm okay with it from my end.
Thank you.
Basically, all we're looking for is a motion to allow the mayor to go into it.
I'll move that.
Okay, looking for a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I'm gonna call the vote. Bob,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Yes.
okay, that one's done. Now we'll go to discussion on the library position creation. And I think you've been given a copy of what Stephanie sent us yesterday regarding the request. And the library board met on August 24th, and they did approve the proposed creation of a new employee position unanimously, and they laid out the reasons why and what it's for. And since they did it, it is incumbent upon us to do it. And I will remind the board that this does not impact the village budget per se. Money would come from the money raised with the school tax bills. Is that correct, Linda?
Yes.
Okay. So does anybody really have any questions or comments about this proposal?
It's more of a formality on our end to go along with civil service.
Exactly. So in that point, that being the case, I'm going to look for a motion.
Move it.
Okay, and a second.
I'll second.
Okay, I'm going to call the vote. Bob,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
and I'll also say yes. And we're moving past that one. We're going to old business. Does anybody have any old business that they would like to discuss?
Did we ever purchase or that park that we were surveyed about, I think last week?
No, that's on, David's got that for new business.
I apologize, Mr.
That's
Mayor.
okay.
Yeah, we'll get to that on new business. It's a mixture of old and new business, as some things are hybrids. But I've got some things just I'll mention briefly that fall under old business. Recall that last meeting we talked about the upcoming Saturday events on August 15th, including closing off Railroad Street, including the drive-through fair food and that sort of thing. I just want to report that from all indications, and it was quite busy around Whitney Point regarding those things and yard sales and so on. And most everybody I talked to was happy about it, and it was deemed to be a great success. Aubrey considered it for her place and so on. I did hear a few negative comments about the drive-through situation for food at the fairgrounds, but that was to be expected, I guess. There were long waits and expensive prices, and food wasn't that large, portions weren't that large. Whatever you usually would hear about fair food. But anyway, Saturday was went over as well as we could expect it to.
Told you about the funnel cakes last meeting, and that's what did it, I'm pretty sure.
I'm sure
Okay,
it was.
okay. Couple other things. We've had further discussions with Toma on the Phantom LWRP grant that the village was awarded. We have a case number and everything, but when COVID fell into place, disrupted things. This was one of the things that hasn't gone forward. It still exists, but Rich Cunningham and the guy that we talked to, Jamie Reppert, the Department of State, cannot figure out what's really happening. So we have to still stay tuned for developments on the LWRP grant. We certainly would not want to lose that.
Don't want to lose it, but can't start working without having money to know. it's
No,
gonna
we
be
can't make any
available.
commitments without being certain there's something there. Similar was the effort to perhaps get micro enterprise program grants through CDBG. I had a discussion with Linda Armstrong at Toma and explained to her that the village hasn't really gotten a whole lot of interest in that to start with. First of all, you have to have a certain amount of interest to qualify for acceptance into the program. We don't have that. We didn't really run an advertising campaign, nor will we at this point, for a number of reasons. One is the state doesn't really know if and when these grants would be viable, because they don't have any money either. The thing is, I had a nice discussion with her and told her we wanted to keep in the loop on all these things, and our focus now would be with Rich and the LWRP. But for as far as at this point, the micro enterprise request to go forward is stillborn, I guess is the best way to put it. We won't be doing any of that anytime soon. At such time as you can go forward, yes, but it's a very specific. I mean, the businesses have to have five or fewer employees, for example. So it limits the audience out there, the population that you're going for to start with, and it's very strict with income guidelines and everything else. It's not a no-brainer anyway, and the grants aren't as big as some of the other ones. It's nice to have though, so we'll keep it in mind. That's it on micro enterprise. Some of you may be aware the USAC, the US ACE, the Army Corps announced a couple days ago that they are going to do a crib wall remediation project above the spillway. Now that's not within the village, but we were notified. They have to go out for public comment. They have to go out for environmental impact, those sorts of things. This project won't be taking place anytime soon. Perhaps in the spring it will be, but it's just an FYI in case somebody asks one of you trustees, what do we know about it? Well, that's about what we know about it. It's going to happen, and it's an Army Corps project in the town of Triangle. I believe it's on the Route 26 side of the spillway. And that's pretty much what I have for old business. Unless somebody else has something, we'll move to new business. The first part of new business will be for this sewage pump repair quote we got from W2O. Now you may recall that we had the replacement recently, and this pump was replaced, but it still could be repaired and then go and be a spare, because we hadn't always planned to have a spare pump there. The cost seems high, $3,500, $3,525 to be exact, for the repair work that they mentioned. But to get a new pump, if we're buying it off the shelf, would be in excess of $10,000, maybe as much as $13,000. Went through all of our original sewer plans and everything. We always intended to have one. This is the cheap way to get a spare, is to get the equipment we have repaired rather than throwing it out. So that's the background. So we're presented with this, and I'll ask for anybody who has a question or comment first.
Do we have the money somewhere to do this?
We have
That in the email back last week.
We have about $19,000 in that original reserve that was set from when the HS fund came over. You could use that for this. You have less than 15,000 in contingency.
And our asset management plan and all the documents that I got put together here indicate the useful life of these things is about 10 years. That's the average life. And you're supposed to basically replace them every 10 years. But that's the background. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
We currently don't have a backup right now.
They put the backup in place of the one that was broken, which is this
Right.
one.
Yeah, this one was probably not a backup. It was the original.
How good is usually the repairs on these? Does anybody have any information? I mean, do the repairs, do they
Well,
bring it back to a
What
good
WTO
standard, or is
says, what WTO essentially told Jeff, as I understand it, is that I wouldn't say it's as good as new, but it basically it should be. You know, the functionality would be equivalent to buying the new one off the shelf.
okay.
And what we'd have it for is if the current one broke down.
Correct.
Either
Exactly.
filling while we figure out what to do.
Well, with all the talks of infrastructure issues that, we've had, this seems pretty reasonable. We need to make sure that our infrastructure, I know Jason has brought it up in the past, is that we got to make sure that we have things in place, and it's pretty thin right now.
Yes, you're exactly right, Mike, because one thing that municipalities always fall prey to is not being proactive and not having things in place, and then being hit with an emergency where it used to be an old Fram oil filter ad on TV years ago. You could pay me now or you can pay me later. And if you pay me later, it's going to be way more.
This pump is an Andy Dalton. It's a quality backup plan.
Okay, there you go. There you go. Any more comments?
Jason.
I'll look for a
He's
motion.
even turning red on that one.
Okay, he is, yeah.
Try to keep it light.
I'll look for a motion to go ahead and authorize purchase of this
Out of the contingency, out of the
out of the yes,
reserve.
not the contingency, but the reserve. Yes.
So, Mayor, just real quick, if you're going to use the reserve fund, then there's a procedure to follow for utilizing it.
I'm having trouble hearing you, Nate.
Yep. Sorry, I don't know if it's me or if it's the internet.
My hearing's not great, so part of it's me for sure.
So certainly there's a procedure to utilize the reserve fund. Either we need to hold a public hearing prior to authorizing the use of the monies, or there would be a permissive referendum if the purpose that the funds are being used for could be borrowed for more than 5 years. So it sounds like if this is a purchase, and the purchase, you said, I think the useful life of this is about 10 years, there would need to be a permissive referendum before you could actually purchase the product. It's not a big deal. It's just that you
30
need
days.
to
Well,
follow the steps.
What did you say, Linda?
30 days? Nate?
Yeah, that would be the permissive referendum.
Well, we
notice.
certainly want to go along with your suggestion there, and because we do have a unit in place right now, it's not an emergency, so we'll do that. So I guess we'll need
Motion for referendum?
motion. Yes. Permissive.
Well, it would be a motion to purchase the pump, and it's just subject to a permissive
Okay,
referendum.
so we'll do, the motion is on the floor with the second. We'll just throw in an amendment to subject to, like you said.
So
Okay,
who
subject to.
made the motion? Mike?
I'll move it. Yeah, I have no problem with that.
And who seconded it? I missed that.
I'll second it.
Yeah, I couldn't remember either, but it's on the tape. But we have a new second now anyway, and maybe it's the same one.
And
Subject to the permissive referendum. We got it straight now, Nate?
Good enough.
Okay, okay. So, thank you. We will go on for more new business. Anybody else have?
We should vote.
we had,
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. It's like I'm a rookie here. I call the vote. Bob? Stop laughing.
Yes, on the motion,
been a
no,
long
you're not
day.
a rookie.
Okay, okay, there's a yes. Jason
Yes.
and Mike.
yes.
And I will also vote yes. Okay. Got out of my rhythm there with the subject to there, Nate. But anyway, here we go. Does anybody else have any new business to talk about? I have a few things just to mention. Well, first and foremost, so I don't forget it, I've gotten several warnings from the National Weather Service. The last one at 4 o'clock today. The next one will be at 5 a.m. Tomorrow afternoon, we're expecting some nasty, nasty weather. It's been elevated to an urgent warning, sort of, which includes the possibility of tornadoes and the very high probability of hail, damaging hail, high winds, lots of rain. But basically, the high wind and the it'll be a lot of rain, but the high wind is probably the kicker there, because it's for all of central New York and northeastern Pennsylvania. So it doesn't mean it's going to hit right here, but it could hit in any of these places. They originally were projecting tomorrow afternoon between noon and 8, but now they've pushed that out to 1 o'clock to 9. This system will be coming down from the New York State Thruway, working its way south through those areas. Expect power outages. Winds could be up to 75 miles per hour. There'll be an update at 5 a.m., like I said, but be alert and spread the word. I guess that's all we can say about it, but it sounds like a big deal. A lot of their warnings that come through are on the milder side, but this one,
Are you gonna, I'm sorry, David, are you gonna touch base with Scott and Josh to make sure that the drains are all good and everything's good to go for
Yes.
drainage?
yes, I don't talk to them in the morning.
Okay,
They may be aware as well, because I think they get that warning too, but I will talk to Scott in the morning. Okay, there's that. Had a meeting last week that was engineered by Jim Gilligan. He has an acquaintance whose daughter, well, Nikki Langton is the mother, and Sarah Langton is the daughter, and she wants to try for the Girl Scout Gold Award. She has to have a project for that. The project might take a while, like could be upwards of 2 years perhaps, but we met and talked about whether the village had any project she could work on. Uh, and what we came up with was the triangular property we own between Collins Street and Route 11 down by the fairgrounds. There's a little triangle piece. And she was thinking about something along the lines of a bench or even a gazebo or flowers or something.
Do you,
And um,
Seymour, down by Seymour.
yeah, Dave, you mean down by the cemetery?
yes, yes,
Okay, 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 okay.
right.
Okay.
We said she could start looking around for money. They let me back up. They have a project. Part of the project is they're doing fundraising to send care packages to service people overseas, but they wanted to do something more visible in the community because people don't necessarily see that. But part of their fundraising money could be used for, a bench or so, they're certainly they're reaching out through Facebook and so on to do this fundraising project. That's her project, but she wants part of the project to be a physical presence and in the village. Now, we wouldn't be required, nor would we have any money to put up, but we could support it. A couple other pieces of property came to mind. One is Jeff Johnson's property down on Railroad that he's thinking about giving to the village, but that's down the road, whether or not it happens. The other was part of the LWRP project over by the river, by the bridge, but that's the whole thing's on hold. So, but the good thing about this property down by the village, down by the cemetery, is that we already own it. We're not taking anything off of the tax rolls like would happen with Johnson's property, and we could already authorize some little sense of planning there, and to be positive about it. Want to encourage these things for the youth. Once years ago, some of you may remember, we had I think Carrie Ann Wysocki had a plan to plant these nice streets, nice, boy, I'm all right today. There's nice trees along Main Street, and the project came to fruition, and we have these nice trees along Main Street, and they're not going to grow up to the side, to the height of the wires because he chose the right variety. That plan worked great, but that's the type of thing that she wants to do. So we're not really asked to do anything right now except encourage her, and I just wanted you to be aware of that. There's nothing that we have to approve at this point. If it gets to the point where she wants to go forward with doing something physical other than drawing and plans, then yes, I would ask the board to approve that. But we're not that far yet. I just wanted to bring you in the loop. And it could be many months before we're that far. Okay. I've been playing phone tag with Beth Lucas, who's in the Broome County Planning Department. I know Beth from way back when I was on the county flood task force and on the steering committee at the county for the comprehensive plan. And we've been playing phone tag. I want to ask her what has really happened, if anything, with the FEMA mapping project, the insurance maps that they were a mess back then and when I was on it. And the last I knew, they still were a mess. And I want to see what the latest is on that. Those insurance maps are very important for, well, real estate transactions, flood insurance, all those sorts of things. And I want to really find out where it stands. There are no records here of anything since then, and I will let you know how my discussion goes with Broome County Planning. But this is something that I planned to do when I got a chance, and after a month of being in this seat, this was I felt like I could spend some time on that. So stay tuned for developments. The only other thing I have that that smacks of news, new business, is we have another sign request coming up. McDonald's wants to replace their signs. I guess the big one and some other ones. And Ken's working with the guy who's in charge of it for McDonald's, and it probably will require variances as well and things like that. So Nate will have some more work to do, but that's preliminary right now. We're just waiting for some things to fall into place. Okay. That's it for me. I probably talked enough. So anybody else want to talk? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Sure.
Oh, okay, good.
I just figured Mike was going to make another quarterback comment.
He might.
I'm out.
He's smiling.
I had
and it's
I had a golden arches
You
comment, but it's not worthy.
Kaepernick's available, man.
I could
You
see
don't
the
have to go to
wheels turning
Cincinnati.
when your lips curled up. I knew there was something in there. But you don't want to let it. You don't want to. Don't want to give us.
Now
I
he's
think
turning red now.
I'm watching. To be honest with you, I'm watching Bob, and Bob. Once we got talking about the McDonald's sign, found that somewhat humorous, and
I
I
noticed
see that mischievous laugh, and I start to get mischievous myself.
Okay. Well.
I still have parts of my anatomy that are missing from the Arby's sign 20 years ago.
Yeah, let's hope it goes smoother.
Okay. Well, in any case, I think we've touched everything we needed to touch, haven't we, Linda?
I believe so.
So at this point, I will say the meeting is adjourned. That's it.